Gracious Majesty the Queen and COVID, what is the latest? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here. Nice to see you. As ever, thank you for your company. Bit of a rainy day here today, don't know what it's like wherever you are. Miserable, damp, and of course we should be cheery because if it's a Valentine's Day for you and you have a date, hope it all goes well. Nice to see you all. And of course, think of it the opposite way. If you don't have a Valentine's today, and you'll notice I'm wearing a nice red tie for you, but if you don't, then of course, think of the positives. It's cheaper. The menu will be cheaper tomorrow, and even all the red roses will be reduced in the supermarket. So there are one or two bonuses if you don't have a date on this, well, allegedly most romantic day of the year. But back as ever to your breaking roll story of the day. As we know, last week, sadly for His Royal Highness Prince Charles, he tested positive for COVID yet again. Now, if you recall, he'd already had COVID at a mild form way back at the start of the pandemic, where, thankfully for him, he was able to retreat up to Balmoral and keep out in the beautiful, fresh, open air and make a full recovery. This time around, he's only had, again, mild symptoms, but apparently, according to a very good source, he's becoming irritable because he's fed up now of being trapped in isolation. I can't really see the problem, can you? Servants on tap, nice food, TV, no reason to get up, no reason to actually have to put on your shirt and tie. I'm not so sure what Prince Charles is really upset about. But on a more serious note, there's been rumblings over here in the United Kingdom, all regarding and concerning, of course, Her Majesty the Queen. And here's why. As we also know, Prince Charles was in contact with Her Majesty the Queen just prior to 2 days of testing positive. He was out at Windsor Castle for an informal meeting, and apparently that meeting lasted over an hour. Now, there's a big sort of rumpus over here because the media are not being told exactly whether Her Majesty the Queen has COVID, tested for COVID or not. And there's a simple reason for this, but of course, as ever with the media, they want to try and spin it into something bigger. I thought I'd break it down for you in simple forms, and here is the reason why. As we know, with our gracious monarch, she is coming up to the wonderful age of 96. Looking incredible, as we all know. But the bigger problem, of course, for Her Majesty the Queen, she's had all the right vaccines, the right jabs, had a final jab, we believe, in January of this year. But the real reason why the media are simply not being told is because they're trying to escalate this into a crisis. And there's another more personal reason from our gracious Majesty the Queen. She doesn't really like her health matters being discussed worldwide, as one can imagine. A rather private lady who's never given interviews in her 70-year reign, doesn't like to discuss personal troubles, keeps her head down, and more importantly leads by example. A big factor that many could learn from, as we all know. And for that's really the reason why the media are being not told anything regarding COVID, or indeed Her Majesty. So what we do know so far is this: she is in good health. She's being tested on a regular basis, something apparently she's not too keen on, but nonetheless, once again, biting to get back to work, and apparently going to be doing some of those Zoom calls, digital sort of TVs as she calls them, at some point during the week. So we will get to see exactly how well and fit she looks. It must be very hard though for the monarch herself, because everybody seems to be circling with negative news, as I'm sure you've seen. They're already discussing the coronation of King Charles, and then we recently had that personal item from Her Majesty the Queen herself discussing about Camilla becoming Queen Consort. But for now, I'm pleased to report that Her Glorious Majesty the Queen is in wonderful health, no actual problems right now. And of course for Prince Charles, that must be a huge relief, given the fact that the finger pointing was at him. So let's wish him and our gracious Majesty the Queen all the very best of health for the future. Neil Sean, London.